broadcast show. Let's check the live, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and hit that YouTube button there. And also hit that button, the bell, so you can get your notification. Don't forget to hit that like button. Hit that button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going live here, and we're going to be talking again. We're going to be out here basically defending our brother Grandmaster Jay. Of course, as you know, he has been released from custody here, and we're going to be talking about today of these critics that he is an agent. We're going to be breaking all this down for you today on the Lawyer Henderson show, the show that gives you the word, the true word. It keeps it black, keeps it real. It keeps it basically straightforward. People know that Lawyer Henderson TV has always brought you all of the truth and speak truth to power. That's the reason why, I'm saying, don't be surprised if they come after me after they went after Grandmaster Jay. And so that is the Lawyer Henderson show. I told y'all, don't basically, we're going to stay only here on for an hour. So I may not take no calls today, but if I do, you know the number, 516-418-5867. We're going to be talking about Lawyer Henderson TV criticized Tariq Nasheed and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur over calling Grandmaster Jay an agent. The Lawyer Henderson show's on, y'all. It's 516-418-5867. We have a lot to talk about on the Lawyer Henderson show. Okay, today I'm just going to basically just give a question out here. Tariq Nasheed and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur, among others, have been calling Grandmaster Jay an agent. We'll get to that in a minute. But Grandmaster Jay have been released from federal custody after Grandmaster Jay basically, they said that he pointed a gun up to federal agents. We'll get to that in a minute. But before we do that, there was a twerking video in Dallas at this restaurant owner. He had checked some black people in there, especially some black women was in there twerking or what have you. And he came out and checked them and told them, hey, this is the place where people eat and all this, even though we play this music in here, y'all should act like ladies. And then it went viral all over the news. Here come the white press talking about, he trying to say black women shouldn't be blah, 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 blah. And, you had Harvey Levin out there trying to make something out of nothing. You see, every time that a black man show authority, it get questioned by the white media. The white media has done so much in order to try to switch the narrative about certain types of ratchet behavior that we call out as black men and black women, that they basically will try to infiltrate within our own discussions. You got to be very careful when white people say that they want to help you out. Just like this vaccine, all of a sudden they didn't give us no resources. They never had given us no resources since slavery, besides jobs or whatever, are these huge loans that you have to pay back, and it takes you years to pay back. But they always want to talk about that they want to help the black community, which we know that it's a lie. We also got some bought and paid for Negroes who's been kiss and tell to white supremacy so long. They're doing the same thing. But anyway, he just came out and told them, that they are not, he cannot allow this type of ratchet behavior, twerking inside his restaurant. You have to respect the fact that the restaurant people are are eating and stuff. He also said that 75% of his customers are women, and he said that black men should also respect the fact that you got ladies in the uh, restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Be very respectful. And so the white media came trying to dip their nose in the business, and then you had all of these shea butter Twitter people coming out against him. Oh man, he trying to respect black women. He black. You see, this is the type of foolishness that we basically have always had to deal with, where they're trying to basically say that black women twerking is a part of disrespecting black women. That's not the case. He just don't want this ratchet behavior, this hood rat behavior. And real black women understand the difference between hood rat and hoe behavior, whore behavior, hood rat behavior, all this ratchet behavior in this restaurant. He just basically chin checked them as he should have done. And so we stand by this brother. In fact, we just got word that he actually have gotten an increase of business after all of this viral, after he went viral for chin checking these women who were out there twerking all on the glass and stuff, trying to knock down certain types of things within his restaurant, which they would come back and say, I'm gonna sue you for it because see, if I hurt my hand. That's the reason why he had to stop it. Okay. So we have to be very careful when we basically try to support ratchet behavior. That is very, 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 um, dangerous for us to support that. But white people will pick that up because they want to put that kind of energy within our society, within the black community, and that's how they continue to keep us in the position that we're in, because they have to basically keep us, you know, talking about everything ratchet. They have to keep on talking about transgender. They have to keep on trying to deflect when a black person is shot and killed by police. They do all of those things and trying to basically try to change the narrative when we chin check certain types of people within the black community about their disrespect. And that's something that we have to always do as black people. Okay. So that was just a little bit brief on that. But I want to go in on um, this ideal of Grandmaster Jay being an agent. Okay. You have Tariq Nasheed, you have Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur. And I respect both of these black people. I do. I listen to both of them off and on sometimes. But at some point, it just get outrageous when you just call people agent without having no evidence. Okay, as you know, our brother Grandmaster Jay, also known as John F. Johnson, have been released by the FBI. As I told you, I did a 1 hour and 30-minute breakdown of his charges, which were bogus, coming from these police officers, and then the U.S. attorney in Kentucky by the name of Russell Coleman. I told you why he should step down because of the bogus charges. We went over his criminal complaint. I actually think I made a mistake because I think it was like it was either section 111 or 114 or 118. Anywhere away, we looked at the law and we basically decided that Russell Coleman have no evidence against our brother, uh, Mr. Frisch Johnson. You basically have a fundraiser now. If you want to basically support him, he's he's out of jail. The feds did not give him a bond. Typically in federal court, you don't get a bond because the FBI or the federal government already got money. But the U.S. Marshals basically let him go, and he's right now. There is a GoFundMe where he has already raised over $87,000. I actually also supported our brother so he can get the best attorney. This is a deflection from the Breonna Taylor's case. They are upset with Grandmaster Jay because he cost them money as far as the the Kentucky Derby that was supposed to go down there. He basically announced that that was his plan to strategize. And as you know, that after the murder and killing by these white thugs with badges against our sister Breonna Taylor, that the city of Louisville have lost a lot of money. They have lost millions of dollars, not only from Kentucky Derby, but the home ownership prices have went down within Kentucky. And that's all thanks to our brother, Grandmaster Jay, along with all of you in the Black Lives Matter group, even though I don't support all of this movement within the Black Lives Matter. But us in general, we made Kentucky to basically, we put them on notice that we looked at their racism. We see that they were racist. We see that they're trying to white splain their lies against our brother, their deflection of not arresting these three police officers who killed and murdered Breonna Taylor. And that's basically what this is all about. It's a deflection by the federal government and the U.S. attorney in order to ignore the fact that they got more evidence on these white race soldiers who killed our sister, with, and despite the fact not having no evidence to take the trial or to be given to the grand jury and arrested fraudulently Grandmaster Jay at his home in Ohio. As you know, he was arrested, I think, 2 days ago, regarding a September the 4th incident, I think it was, where he basically just, just aimed a gun up at some, I guess they were later identified as FBI agents, Secret Service people, and they had charged him with a crime. I told you we went over the charge yesterday in my criticism against the U.S. attorney, and of course, so don't be surprised if they don't come after me. But anyway, the charges stem from a criminal complaint, which is not an indictment. At first, he probably have to have it, like I said yesterday, a probable cause hearing. The probable cause hearing, the officers are going to be there to try to say, this and that, blah, 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 blah. You know how the police are. They always lie. They always deflect. They always bring up a bunch of lies. That's the only way that they can try to control the narrative. As you know, they've been talking about so many white supremacist groups around the country hanging black people. Black men been found at parks hanged all across the country. Got these white supremacist groups. They are here attacking black women. They're attacking black people. And so we're calling, and since the social media, we're focusing on that, and we're focusing on these white militia groups like the Proud Boys. They're basically now trying to have arrested Grandmaster Jay so that they can deflect away from the truth about what these white supremacist groups are up to. This is trying to change the narrative and trying to arrest Grandmaster Jay on a bogus charge. Now, we also yesterday went over his charges of claims of impeding, claims of talking about that he assaulted, which he was, of course, they were on the roof and he was basically down on the ground. So there's no apparent assault. Like I said, there's no impeding. I said they are all over the board with this claim that they have evidence to even indict. Like I said yesterday, they don't have enough to arrest him for jaywalking. And the ideal here is that this is what they do to black men. They have to change the narrative. When white men start being called out on sexual assault, for instance, like Harvey Weinstein, they have to then go after R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, because it changed the narrative so that white men, you deflect away from them and they don't get no jail time. And this is exactly what they're doing as well in our brother Grandmaster Jay. Like I said, go to his GoFundMe program and basically donate what you can. Okay, right now I show that he have already raised an almost $87,000. Their goal is to raise $100,000. But basically, he don't really need a real powerful defense attorney to basically do this. Even if a grand jury indicts him, they got a long road to go with these charges. Basically, what they're upset about, we're going to break it down. We're going to break down why they are upset with Grandmaster Jay and why Tariq Nasheed and Ahmadiyyah SHakur should just stay quiet about calling this man an agent. This is a great man that we need in our black community. He basically is now known all across the world. The white media out there talking about he's been financed by the Russians. This is the type of stuff that we heard. We even heard the black people who were basically saying, hey, don't go out and vote for the Democrats or no political party unless they do something. Remember, they had Joy Reid, a black non-foundational black person coming from another country talking about that we were Russian bots. I mean, it just don't get old for the white old dead black media and the white supremacist media as well. Just don't get old for them. They have to always deflect. That's basically their narrative. So basically, I'm upset with Tariq Nasheed and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur because they basically use certain types of white supremacist talking points to call Grandmaster Jay, whose real name is John F. Johnson, an agent. Now, first of all, let's just break down what they mean as an agent. It's another word for informant, police informant. Grandmaster Jay, of course, with with verse, if you look at Grandmaster Jay, and if you look at what's his name, Shitty Loke, which the one who shot and killed Nipsey Hussle, these guys have nothing in common. There's nothing that says about them that they have in common. So I don't see where Tariq Nasheed and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur get the fact that Grandmaster Jay is an agent or he's an informant. He works with the police. Now let's break down the ideal of why they're upset with this brother. Now he basically did have some time in the military. And one of the things about the military, they teach you all kinds of maneuvers on how to kill, how to murder. Like I said, people in the native land or enemy, America calls their enemies in certain types of nations and country. And what had happened is that our brother, Mr. Johnson, had went to the Army. He did get a dishonorable discharge. Another claim by Ahmadiyyah SHakur, which is again another white supremacist word, as that you basically violate some laws while you was in the military, and basically you're not following protocol and stuff like that. So he had the sergeant status before, okay? And typically when you're a sergeant, you basically do more on the ground than the lieutenant or the major or even in the police department. The sergeant is the person who basically controls the squad, does the SWAT or what have you. You have your lieutenants and all these other people. They basically typically is in control of the sergeants. So what happened is that the U.S. government has basically trained this man so well that he is now basically teaching black people in a civilian life the same thing. On YouTube, he's basically teaching them about their history. In fact, he has a teaching of this of Chancellor Williams, how Europe undeveloped Africa. A book by Chancellor Williams. It's a great read. I think our brother, the late Dr. Amos Wilson, had a readership on Chancellor Williams. He was one of our great Afrocentric, ancestor of all time. Along with him, Dr. John Henry Clark, Amos Wilson, Francis Cress Wilson, all of your great black leaders. These are people who basically has told us, even when white people say, well, if y'all are so great, why y'all not great now? That's because during slavery, we talked about that. We talked about how even when we had came up with certain types of things that we created and invented, since it was illegal for black people to read and write and they couldn't do anything for patents and whatever, the white people will come and steal the ideal and they were patenting or they would call it theirs. And that's the reason why certain types of invention made by black people, they did not really get credit for it. So having said that, we're talking about our brother Grandmaster Jay, who basically went to the military. He got a dishonorable discharge, and which is some of the situations as to why Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur and Tariq Nasheed is calling him an agent. It has nothing to do with him being an agent. That's basically using white supremacy's words to try to explain that he's an agent. That's foolish. But the idea here is that he is training black people how to use an AR, rifle or what have you. He's training them how to properly use a gun. He basically also said, do not aim at a uh, at a person unless they aim a gun at you. So basically, he is using his training of what he got from the military and saying, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to create a black militia group in order to get black people trained as far as if should there be some type of attack on us, and which is very dangerous because now he's basically in the military. It was like, they took his sergeant credentials away from him. They tried to strip all of this stuff in the military. They tried to say that his, wife was accused him of domestic violence and all this other stuff. And they tried to break him down. So after he got out the military, he basically used the training to basically, like I said, to organize this group, the NFAC, where we know now is the Not Effing Around Coalition. So the government is saying, wait a minute, oh no, you're out there, you basically causing our economic system to fall in the Louisville, where nobody hardly showed up at the Kentucky Derby that we have, which brings in millions of dollars of the city. So he was a threat in that regard. He was also a threat basically because you had all of these other white militia groups who was out there trying to intimidate black protesters. So he came and showed up, and then all of a sudden now the white supremacist groups, they're being protected by the police. And you're like, wait a minute. Okay, we show up as black people to defend ourselves. Let's also start back that first, though, no one told the FBI and the feds and the police, the Louisville police to show up anyway. And no one told specifically the white supremacists to show up at a Breonna Taylor protest. Every time that we have a protest, the white supremacist group shows up to try to basically say, we're here, blah, 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 blah. No one tells these people to show up at our protest. No one. They just show up because they hear it on the media. And they have to come out here talking about, we're in support of Breonna Taylor. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're basically here to clown around, and you're basically here to just try to, do the same thing and copycat off in us. Just like they had the Million MAGA March. I mean, come on. So what we want to go into is that we basically have Tariq Nasheed and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur, I think Vicky Dillard, which, like I said, I love these three to death. Like I said, I look at them on YouTube. I don't think they're more black powered than this man. I think what he's doing, Grandmaster Jay, is using his military training, like I said earlier, to educate black folks on how to properly use a gun. Was that mistakes made? Yes. There was basically them accused of shooting some of their own members and stuff like that. Mishandling of guns and stuff like that. Somebody who was not really all the way trained, shouldn't have been out there with a gun and stuff like that. And so Tariq tried to make a argument out of that or whatever. But that's different. And also, they came out and said that the man had a white girlfriend or something like that. But we all know throughout history that, this is not new. You had Malcolm X before he joined the nation. He had a white girlfriend. He was a pimp or what all of that. So it's not nothing new for a black power person to work for the system. We've seen had Garner. Remember Garner? I forget his first name, where he was a police officer. He was a sergeant, but he saw how the system tried to railroad him as a police officer, and he just took it out on him. He knew their military techniques. He knew a lot of things about the police training. Okay. And so what the US government is trying to do now is they're trying to say, whoa, 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 Grandmaster Jay, you're teaching civilians the same training that you are being taught or you was taught in the army. You can't do that. Okay. So what they're trying to do now is they're trying to take his guns rights away. You don't basically go out there try to teach black people how to properly shoot a gun. No. Okay. And on top of that, Kentucky home ownership is also down. The people buying houses in Louisville, Kentucky, that is also down. They thought that they were going to attract a lot of businesses in Louisville. That is down. They have not gotten a lot of tourists, not only because of Breonna Taylor's situation, but also because of COVID. That is down. And so the quicker thing that you do is to change the narrative where all these white men are out here, popping up with their guns and say white power this and white power that, but you don't see the US government going after them. Okay. It took them almost at the time that these militia groups were about to kidnap the governor of Michigan. It took the feds, hell, almost literally until they were about to go out and get her in order for them to basically put an end to that. So you see how, this deflection happens. So we have Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur saying that, oh, he was also accused of domestic violence. But she don't talk about the fact that believe that I did some research that his wife tried to destroy his military career, and she was upset because of, I think that there was like some infidelity. Okay, all of the things that still don't prove that he's an agent. All this stuff that still don't prove that he's an informant. Like I said, this is a man who basically had taught lectures of many of our great scholars that we had, and also at the same time is teaching black folks how to handle a gun. That is very dangerous. How dare these niggers be out here learning that kind of stuff? Don't be teaching them that. And that's exactly what this is about. Okay, they're punishing our brother because he basically, even on the news, he said that he was successful in stopping the millions of dollars that Louisville could have had if the Kentucky Derby was a success. And up until Breonna Taylor's situation, they had a lot of money coming into the city alone. They had the mayor there, I think it was Fisher, who basically tried to gentrify the same area or the same block where Breonna Taylor was shot at. He tried to gentrify. He tried to bring some people in to basically take over that neighborhood to try to gentrify. And there was this huge protest there. So you see that they were upset. This is, like I said, a deflection. Where is the arrest? And I told you about the U.S. attorney, basically trying to deflect from the media. The media wanted to ask him about what is the FBI's investigation or the U.S. government's investigation into these police officers for shooting Breonna Taylor. Of course, as you know, they always deflect when the victim is black. And we told you sometimes that white supremacy, well, not sometimes, but all the time, the police, like I said, were out there handling these white militia group water and all this old stuff. So they're on code. They get on code when a black person is shot and killed. Okay. On my YouTube video, of course, ScrewTube, they had cut off the comments section of my video because I had basically called out the attorney general, not the attorney general, not Daniel Comeron, but the Fed U.S. attorney, because I know a lot about the law and all that. So I know that this is a bogus charge. This is to get him to strike some type of felony plea deal so that he cannot carry a weapon and train black people no more. This is what this is. You see, you have all these white boys out here, they're carrying guns all over the place. But you don't see U.S. Attorney Russell Coleman going after none of them. You see, this is how, they are on code. They stay on code. Black people are the ones who basically we engage in all this kind of foolish talk. You had some black folks out there talking about, well, why he didn't just shoot them all. It's foolish talk that we like to engage in. We've been watching, as Michi X said, we be watching too much movies. This is not a serious charge here. It's a serious charge, but it's a bogus charge at the same time. Remember, we broke down the criminal complaint, and other people have broke down the criminal complaint. So I won't go into it in depth, but there was other things in the complaint that I read. Remember where they said that they knew that we were going to be on the roof or something like that, and they also said something to the effect that when he saw us, he didn't do anything, or he basically wasn't intimidated, or something like that to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, what? Come on. You see, they have to make up stuff on black people. They have to, they basically, you got, in Breonna Taylor's case with these police officers killing her, you got Hankerson and Cosgrove, I think it was, on camera going back into the crime scene, and they didn't have enough time basically to try to spin anything or move any evidence and stuff like that. But you still got all this evidence against them, and they still have not been arrested by the FBI or the government. They have been involved. They fraudulently obtained a warrant. You even had the judge who asked the question, well, why, give me a reason why you should be held in contempt of your lie. And then the judge just spit it off to the FBI. Oh, I'm gonna let them basically take care of this. Okay, but it's taking the FBI long in their investigation. And which they're like, well, yeah, it took us a long time and blah, blah, blah. They said the same thing about Grandmaster Jay, where this happened on September the 4th because they're an investigation agency. We came and got him and blah, blah, blah. And this is the charge. So they got these bogus charges on him. And then that's when Tariq Nasheed and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur, and Mick and Vicky Dillard, all of them, as Mitchie X called them out on this situation, is that y'all basically just come over here and just talk about white supremacy. This man is actually in the streets. He actually causing cities to not have money. Okay, we don't see, all we see Tariq Nasheed do is basically go on live talking about, he's a suspect of white supremacy, and then he'll sell you a DVD, or he'll sell you some type of thing and stuff like that. Then you had Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur said, well, see, Grandmaster Jay, oh, he basically, he had a white girlfriend. Okay, Tariq Nasheed got a white mother-in-law. What is your point? Okay, they have no real evidence that this man is an agent. They have none whatsoever. We're still waiting for them. Tariq, we're still waiting for you and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur to answer the question here. They've been silent after this man's arrest. Okay, so Michi X is going to come out with a statement by Grandmaster Jay to try to get us an update. Now, there's also that he was charged with some state charges. The state charged the same thing as the federal government charge. It's like, this is foolish. You understand? This is dumb. This is really a bogus charge. And come on. Let me get that. Hold on, y'all. Let's look at how bogus this charge is. Hold on. All right, so we all know that State Attorney General Daniel Cameron Okay, you remember he lied to the grand jury. I mean, he did. He basically lied about the grand jury not wanting to indict these officers, only indicting one of them for wanton endangerment. So the spin of what is going to go on here, what they're going to try to do with Grandmaster Jay, the spin is going to be that they're going to try to, to get the grand jury to come up with all kinds of indictments. You're going to have U.S. Attorney Russell Coleman trying to spin the evidence to the grand jury. Oh, we got him on this, we got him on that. Okay, now this is not what what Daniel Kumaran didn't do in the Breonna Taylor's case when he was supposed to present to the grand jury all kinds of felony charges against these three thugs with badges. You had not only Sergeant Mattingly and Mal Cosgrove and Hankerson violating her civil rights also. But see, you don't have the FBI and the U.S. Attorney trying to come after them quicker. And like I said, this press release, the news media wanting to ask him about, okay, what is the FBI's uh, update in the investigation into the criminal complaint against these officers in Breonna Taylor's case, and he didn't want to say anything about that. But he came out here talking about gangs and putting guns off the streets and stuff like that, blah, 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 that we often hear white people explain when they're trying to switch the narrative here. The ideal here is that when it comes to white people doing certain things, oh, now we can spin it, and so we can just go out there and arrest a black man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. These niggers, they're the ones who's carrying all the guns. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to deflect, just like they did with R. Kelly and Bill Cosby. That's what they're doing with Cuba Gooding Jr. We got to put some black men. See, these charges won't stick, but that's not the point. Let's just put the spin and let's go and fraudulently arrest some black men. So yeah. So we can keep Harvey Weinstein out of jail. We can keep Jeffrey Epstein out of jail. Yeah. Let's accuse R. Kelly for something that happened 20 years ago. Let's go after Bill Cosby. Oh yeah. And despite the fact that white lady lied, let's still charge him with something. You see, this is the change and deflect about the increase of white men and their habit of engaging in all kinds of pedophilia. You see, the white media is not out there talking about why this arrest of Grandmaster Jay versus why they have not, said anything about Breonna Taylor's case on the federal level. Now, to their credit, they tried to, and that's when the U.S. Attorney tried to deflect. We already know that old bootlicking Negro Daniel Cameron, he basically don't have no leverage. There's nothing that you can basically legitimately say about that coon that basically his words is nothing at this point. You had the Commonwealth Attorney, of course, as well. His words are nothing. They don't mean nothing because he tried to conspire to get Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend to say that she had drugs coming to the house. So his word is not. It's not really. You can't rely upon it. Okay, and then on top of that, you only have police officers or FBI security, Secret Service people who said that Grandmaster Jay pointed the gun at them, which there's no, which that's kind of like saying, oh, you niggers, y'all better not be out here swinging no guns anywhere, okay? But the ideal here is that they tried to spy on his organization, and they didn't want nobody to know that they were there spying on him. So now you have to then make an arrest. You have to change the narrative. You got to move away from what the Proud Boys is doing. You got to move away from Kyle Rittenhouse, like I said yesterday. You got to move and spin it away from all these white militia groups, who basically is behind black men being hung at a park. You gotta move that out the way. Okay. And then you get certain types of black people like Tariq Nasheed and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur who say this man is an agent. They still have and talking about using white people's words, basically talking about domestic violence and dishonorable discharge. Okay, he got a dishonorable discharge for the military. What did that prove? You still ain't proved that he's an agent, though. What? So what? It means that he couldn't basically follow the rules of white supremacy when they go to other nations killing people. That's all that means. Okay, there has been a situation where he learned military techniques and decided to bring that to us. But I don't see how he's informant. I'm trying to understand here. Somebody comment and help me out here. And of course, we only got about less than 20 minutes, but here on the Lawyer Henderson show, but we're just trying to figure out how this man is an agent. I don't understand Tariq and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur. I don't understand how. Can't be using white supremacy's words to try to convince us that this man is an agent. He's facing 20 up to 20 years in federal prison here. And you got the white media out there trying to basically spin the narrative so that they can take the spin off of white men who have engaged in all kinds of of illegal stuff. And when they engage in illegal stuff, notice how the narrative changed. They try to get all these white men popping up in the media about having sex with kids and stuff like that. So let's change the narrative because see, we got R. Kelly out there, and let's put him in the news, and that's what they did. But thank God for the black media. The black media is basically out here to inform black people of what's going on. It is the new voices of black media who is basically out there setting the real truth about what's going on and what white supremacy has been up to. And without the black media, okay, you would have had the old dead black media like Roly Poly Martin. You would have had all these people, these clowns from the Black Enterprise. You would have had all of these clowns trying to help, just like they're doing right now on this twerking video. It's just like, come on, all that foolishness in the restaurant. We don't want it. We don't want you, climbing all on the damn chairs and walls, hood rat up there, just dancing and all that stuff. And see, and you see how the white media try and Harvey Levin tried to spin it. Oh, y'all attacking black women. No, we're attacking that ratchet hood rat class within our culture that we want to get away from. And see, white people like to keep that around because that helps them. It benefits them. Everything that is that basically harm the black community, you see white people wanting to advocate. Okay? They don't want to do nothing for us. They don't want to give us our tangibles and our reparations, but they want to give us these vaccines. Oh, all of a sudden you want us to be healing. See, it's kind of propaganda that they're doing. We're breaking it down here on the Lawyer Henderson show. Here's the thing that you have to really look out for when you're talking about them arresting Grandmaster Jay. His charges are so bogus. You would believe that even an attorney who's supposed to have went to law school, and now it just basically, you can look and see and tell that the bogus charges, and even if you go read the criminal complaint, like I did as well, it's nothing in the criminal complaint that basically said he did really anything illegal according to what they charged him with. You're like, damn, how could you basically, and this is what white people do. They like to change the narrative. They basically they'll find any kind of law to try to spin stuff. They do this all the time in their opinions as well. They do this, and that's the reason why it's dangerous to just rely upon white people for help, because they're not going to help you. If they're not giving you any financial resources, then a wise man said, don't listen to them. So it's going to take black people in order to basically control our own media. It's going to take us to basically come together to do things for ourselves. We don't need white people's help, even though they owe us reparations and they owe us for 420 plus years of Jim Crow. They're basically will try to spin everything because they're trying to basically try to rationalize their position of trying to control everybody in the world. And other races see that. The only people who don't see that is black folk. The black folks think that we can live comfortably under the system of white supremacy, and we can't. We need basically a breather from white folks. It really is. There's some people who go. There were some sisters who went to Costa Rica several years ago, and basically their whole trip was about getting away from white folk. It was like, I'm here in Costa Rica and other parts of the country just to just have a day where I just get away from some white folk. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not wrong with getting away from the system of oppression. That's not wrong with that. That's not racist because you basically is saying the system is unjust. It's unfair. Nietzsche X, she came out. She told us, the system is unfair. It's not right. And basically, you do have to get away from America. Most people say get away from America, but I say the white supremacists here in the United States. They're basically really, it's nonstop with them. It's nonstop. So a lot of us black folks, we do have to take vacations to other nations to see black people in government actually running things. You got to go to Costa Rica to see Hispanics and other people running something. You got to go, like I said, to Africa, Brazil. Travel, get your passport, because these people in America, they're so racist. They're not going to leave you alone. They're not going to do it. And the ideal is that, yeah, I'm getting my passport. I want to travel to other nations, countries, because you have, as our brother Phil said on the Vice show, he said that when he left out the country, he saw this weight lift off of him. You understand? He saw that when he went to other countries, that he didn't have to deal with racism. He didn't have to deal with no police brutality. He didn't have to deal with none of that. And as soon as he came back to America, oh God, he came he came back to the to the grand corporation of white supremacy, and now all the weight started coming back to him. You know what I'm saying? And that's because the system of oppression in America, they basically constantly and consistently are on your back. And then they try to white explain to people. They're trying to change the narrative. You had Jeffrey Tubin, remember, after he was caught whacking his monkey on live? They had Jeffrey Tubin up there spanking his monkey on live, jacking off and all that. Well, before he basically embarrassed himself like that, you had him on CNN, talking about, oh, if the police can't do that job, if the police can't do that job. No, the people in this country want to see the police go to jail. And why do they not want the police to go to jail? Because they know in jail is fair game. You're not a police officer no more once you're in prison. And that's what that fool that's in Chicago, he had to realize. When them dudes found out that he was a former police officer, he was getting beat. He had his attorney. My client got to get out of jail. We got to move him. We got to move him. Come on, let's move him. He's getting beat down. Let's get him out. Because they do not like the police. Two things people in jail do not like. They don't like the police, and they don't like anybody who raped children. Okay? And so therefore they find out if you're in for those two offenses, these police brutality, they don't like the police. And if they find out you're police, or if you raped a child, they are basically going to beat you down. They're going to make sure that your life in prison is hell. And the police is afraid of that, and they know it. And that's the reason why you got the white splay. You got to change the narrative. You got to say, oh, if the police can't do that job, they got to, they can't do that job, then they're going to be afraid of going into your house. They can't do that job. You got to switch the narrative. You have to change the narrative, and that's when the propaganda arm of white supremacy come in, i.e., the news media. They come in and say all of the things that basically make sure that the police they all get on code when the propaganda arm of white supremacy is basically saying, yeah, the police, like Jeffrey Tubin, all of them get on code with that. But then here in social media, we have our own problems where black people just keep on saying folks is an agent. I mean, come on. Oh, this person is an informant because they got a difference of opinion. Please. The ideal here is that there's a lot of people in the black community who basically, let's just be very clear, they basically sell stuff to the black community. Oh, brother, you got to buy this, man. You're not pro-black. And so basically they embarrass us to thinking that we're not on code just by selling us DVDs and to our history and stuff, something that we should be doing as far as research on our own. Okay. So, you got to look at all of these so-called black revolutionaries in the black community and basically call them out on their exploitation as well that you do with the black bootlegs. There's no true evidence that our brother Grandmaster Jay is an agent, but don't tell that to Tariq Nasheed and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur. Don't tell that to Vicky Dillon. And so I'm not trying to basically bring shade to anybody. I'm just saying we have to be very careful using the word informant, using the word agent. A lot of black folks love this brother, Grandmaster Jay. He do YouTube videos, like I said, sections on certain types of books that tells us how black folks got the conditions that they're in. The reason why we have to basically think that a job, instead of it not being just being a job, the situation is that it is not a resource for financial wealth. And that's what white people try to get us to believe. And that's the reason why we have been down ever since the Civil War. Our $1.3 trillion that we made and that we got has not yet evolved. And so, like I said, all of the laws that we had during Reconstruction, all of the laws that we had under Jim Crow, it is basically to keep us away from wealth. The police brutality that we experience as black people, you got international government coming over here telling us what to do, people who have not come from this country, who did not help build it. Black folks have built this country, and for 426 years, it has been a system of oppression, discrimination, murder, rape, and robbing of us. And we get up the next morning and say, all right, now, master, what do you want me to do tomorrow? On the job. This is the foolishness that we see because we think that we're going to be able to live comfortably under the system of white supremacy, and that's not the case. So we hide our frustrations by going to clubs, going to the bar, going to strip clubs, shaking our booty and twerking all over the place like we did, like that female did in Dallas. Those are to cover up all of the frustrations with white supremacy. And so therefore, to have a black person criticizing another black person, we do it out of love. We do it out of just basically great critique, but we don't mean no harm here. Okay, we have to also check each other when we are basically out of line, and that's very important in the black community. Because if we let a lot of black folks, like we have a lot of black people who are out of character right now, these are Negroes who are going to sell us out. There's a lot of black folks out here who will sell us out for a bucket of chillins and a piece of bubble gum, as long as they're getting some type of pat from white daddy and white mommy, and that is a problem. Because the enforcement arm of white supremacy is not going to do anything for you. They're just going to try to deflect. They're going to try to rationalize and explain why you are oppressed and they have $100 trillion versus our $1.1 trillion. And that's the problem. They want to keep that wealth gap. And so, therefore, the enforcement arm of white power is not going to basically give you the true information of how you grow economically in this country. That's the reason why a college degree is not really anything. Although, for certain types of people, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to college because it does work for certain people, like doctors, lawyers, and other people. For those people. But going and getting a degree in sociology, that's nothing. Okay, going and getting a degree in kinesiology, that's nothing. We have a bunch of educators now that is out of work who got educational degree, and now because of COVID, the school system really don't have to basically need a lot of teachers that they did when the classes were in section. You see, so you got some teachers out of work. Okay, and so therefore we got to look at what's going on with the COVID situation. And we got to look at it because white supremacy have been at work. They're right now talking about only black folks should be taking this vaccine. Okay, well, what about the white people who are creating this? Why they're not taking the vaccine? And you got these hood rats out here, along with these dusty Negroes. Yeah, if they give me that check, I'm gonna take that vaccine. Go ahead, Negro, take it. So you got your you got your Pookie and Ray Ray out there, and your Tawishas and Vakishas. They basically are going to be the first one in line to take this vaccine because they typically deal with the ghetto hood rats and the ghetto dusty Negroes first when they want to basically do a project. And that's the reason why when we come to them talking about some black power stuff, now nigga, get away from me with all that shit, boo, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they don't want to talk about black empowerment. But this case against Grandmaster Jay is a frivolous case. It is basically a nothing burger. Like I said, he's already raised almost $90,000. Their goal is to raise $100. And so I think we're going to present him with a great defense counsel. I think basically because we are on social media right now, we are already advocating for these frivolous charges, to be dropped. Okay, you got people like me who's out there basically breaking down these fraudulent claims that the government is trying to say that he have against them. We basically is letting you know how that this law does not even apply to a person who just aimed a weapon up to you in the sky. It just he didn't know that these people was police officers. How did he know that? And the only physical evidence they got against him is him turning around and showing his bald head. Well, that could have been anybody with a bald head black. And they think we all looked alike anyway. That could have been anybody. Okay? So this is a nothing burger. The government has no case. They don't have no witnesses. And like I told you yesterday, they don't have enough to charge him with jaywalking. But let Tariq Nasheed and Queen Ahmadiyyah SHakur say it, oh, he's an agent though. Oh, he's facing 20 years. Y'all two not facing 20 years. So what that makes y'all? And y'all over here using white supremacy's talking points, trying to get us to convince that he's an agent. Yeah, right. But the enforcement arm of white supremacy, they're going to continue to stay busy, just like the propaganda arm. The propaganda arm of white supremacy, they go out here to try to spin the narrative as if they got some evidence. And that's where the grand jury come in. They're going to try to do, unlike Damian Cameron did, is they're going to try to put all kinds of, oh, you can charge him with this, you can charge him with that. That's what they're going to tell the grand jury. And before you know it, they're going to say, oh, yep, the grand jury indicted him on what? Well, the grand jury said there's enough evidence. Okay, unlike they didn't do, unlike they didn't do this embryonic fool anyway. Okay, so that's what it is. All right, so you people who are on Instagram, you have to go ahead and go over to Lawyer Henderson on YouTube because we are basically leaving here. Well, actually, the show is going. Actually, the show is already over. Well, I want to thank you all for listening, tuning in to the Lawyer Henderson Show. Join us next Tuesday. Bye. Of the enforcement arm of white power. You see the enforcement on the white supremacy. Good job. Yeah, that's what it is. So join us tomorrow.